Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a special webinar on the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Josh Smith. I am the Vice President of Internet Marketing for Home Services over at Scorpion. And today, joining me, I have Dowdy, who is the founder of Built for the Trades and has a family business, S&D Plumbing, based out in Austin, Texas. And I also have William Haddad, who is the Director of Strategic Marketing over at Scorpion. I want to welcome you both to the webinar, and thank you so much for being here on obviously such short notice. Things are moving kind of day by day right now, and so everybody's schedules are all over the place. So I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josh.
Yeah. We're obviously here to discuss the impact of the coronavirus on home service businesses. In particular, today we're going to focus on plumbing and HVAC companies. There's obviously a lot of concerns about the issue now more than ever. And again, it seems like it's changing weekly. Home service businesses really need advice and insights right now. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. How have you guys seen this affect the plumbing and HVAC industry as a whole? Dan, let's go ahead and start with you.
Well, Josh, I mean, really, it's affected by projects that are already started going on hold or being shut down, and also with the home services or just services in general, we're seeing a 25 to 50% reduction in business because people aren't necessarily wanting service people in their home unless it's absolutely necessary. So that's probably the biggest impact I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, William, anything on your end? What do you see typically?
Yeah, same thing. I would say I would really echo 25 to 50% reduction in revenue. In some areas, I'm seeing businesses where the lead volume has slowed down, but home services businesses are still essential. So in a lot of areas, there are still calls coming in. We can talk more about the marketing maybe at a later point.
Yeah.
But I would echo what Dan has mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, this is a trying time for business owners. It's never easy to lead through crisis, especially for somebody who's never been through a crisis. And I know with Built for the Trades, we do a lot of leadership coaching and focus on specifically home service businesses to help them run their companies in a more efficient manner. What's some of the leadership advice that you typically have been giving to the people that you work with? How do business owners lead their teams through crisis right now?
Well, Josh, the first thing that we need to do as business owners is really check in with ourselves and our own mindsets. Coming to work with a negative mindset because we're watching negative news is not going to do anybody any good. And so I encourage business owners out there to focus on their health, to focus on their morning routine, and really watch what they listen to and what they're watching, because that really affects the outcome of how they act at work. The second thing I've been encouraging is really to keep looking forward. I see a lot of business owners that are stuck in, well, I wish I would have saved more money, or I wish I would have done this differently, instead of just continuing to look forward. And they really have a big kind of cloud around them because there's so many things out of our control right now. So we're really focusing on what can we actually control? Let's make a plan, right? Let's include our team in the plan, and let's take action. Let's not drag our feet. Let's make a decision. Let's move forward. Because in my opinion, there's really making a plan is important, but including your team allows them to know what's going to happen. Because as a team member in a company, the other thing you don't want to do is have uncertainties of the unknown. And as a leader, if we're not communicating with our team, if we're not listening to our team, all those different things play a factor whether or not you're going to keep team members on staff there. So yeah, that's my first input on leading there.
And William, as a director,
I would second that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Josh. Yeah, no, to second that, it was so funny. I actually just got off of a Zoom conference with another business provider who's in Los Angeles, and he provides electrical services. And he had really just mentioned that this is a time to give back to the community. This is a time to use your business and use yourself as a beacon for the community, for all the different stakeholders in your business, your customers, your employees, the various people that are invested in your business locally. It also just kind of triggered conversation where the businesses that are doing really well right now are the ones, to Dan's point, that are being creative, that are cultivating leadership, that are looking for different ways to do things, that are not getting stuck, that are trying new things, that are testing things in the market and testing things with consumers and making accommodations for this time. And those are the ones that are really getting ahead and not falling behind. And those are the businesses that, when this whole thing settles down, is really going to have the lion's share in their community, the lion's share in their local area.
Yeah.
And really be thriving, even better relationships with their customers than they did prior.
Yeah. I want to bring dive into that piece a little bit more with you, William, in particular, because as a director of strategic marketing, you're dealing with pretty complex businesses, ones that are doing large amounts of revenue typically annually. And some of them have been hit, fairly hard, but they're not getting kicked when they're down, So what are some of the things you've seen creatively these business owners engage in that have really helped during this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I've seen a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. I'll share a few of my favorites. The first one that I've personally loved, and that I'm really trying to, anytime I'm hearing it, I'm latching on to how can we distribute this across all channels for advertising, for marketing. But it's virtual assessments. I don't know. I would love to hear Dan's perspective on that. But virtual assessments, to where when a customer calls in, having the CSRs field some more questions, trying to get an understanding of what's going on, and then getting a technician who's at home right now before they make the dispatch jump on the phone, and as much as possible, like on a FaceTime call, building the rapport, the relationship over the phone. Booking rates are going to go up because you're getting the FaceTime and it's directly with the technician, not relying on the CSR necessarily to book it. And then if you can close the lead over the phone, or you can get that understanding of what's going on under the sink, or what's happening with the furnace, what noise is it making, whatever the things that need to happen to really diagnose the problem. If you could sell the work right over the phone, they need to send the install crew out there, and you share all the things that your company is doing to abide by the CDC guidelines, and take the necessary precautionary things to keep everybody safe, your employees and the customers. And those are just reassuring. Because, as Dan mentioned earlier, customers don't want you in the home unless they absolutely need to, but there's instances where that's going on. So loved virtual assessments, and also just other promotions around indoor air quality, continuing to be the voice of the voice of education, and of just different products to have a healthy home and have a healthy environment for the families and friends.
Definitely. Yeah. Dan, what have you seen with the businesses you've worked with? Anything creative like that? How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, if you just think right away, like Wayne was saying, is homeowners are hesitant to have people in the home. So the first thing is you're going to have to kind of adapt some of your procedures to what's happening now. A lot of companies never offered prices over the phone. Well, you can't just stick to that, or you're going to lower your booking rate. So allowing or having a virtual assessment, like you talked about, like at least looking at it, estimating it, showing the person who you are, starts to build that credibility right away. So I would encourage companies to be doing that. But the cool thing is, all this technology is it's been there the last few years, but we haven't really touched it. Now that we're forced to dive into it, we have to remember as leaders that it's all about momentum. And if we're going to just throw our hands up and say, well, we have this COVID-19 crisis and I'm just not going to do anything, I'm going to stop everything and I'm just going to service what I can, then you're saying, I'm going to stop all the momentum and I'm going to wait till this is over. And then I'm going to start rebuilding that momentum, instead of saying, okay, I can't control the environment and the virus and what's happening, but I can control my decisions here and how my team is reacting and acting around what's happening. And so I'd encourage people to go virtual with their meetings, their morning huddles, go virtual with their trainings, go virtual with their customers, go virtual doing one-on-one with your team members. What a great way to be face-to-face, them sitting in their home, you're sitting in your home, and just answering and listening to the team member, answering their questions. What a great way to make them feel appreciated in a time like this.
Absolutely. And what's your recommendation and suggestion there, Dan, on how to communicate with the team in terms of like agendas and frequency? Obviously, a lot of people are virtual right now. So what's the best path to go about that? What do we talk about?
Well, I mean, there's the first thing I want to talk about as far as virtual is having a town hall meeting with your company. I had the pleasure of doing that with Quality First Plumbing and Heating, and seeing what Howie did with his team. He was able to bring all the questions together in a 1 hour session and do it in the evening where we could have the spouses involved too, to really bring comfort around, am I going to have a job? What's this look like? Who do I communicate with? What are we allowed to do and not do? And hear it directly from the owner. So that was a great way to do an all-inclusive virtual session. But the other way is since we're all dispatching from the house or staying at home, I would encourage a daily morning huddle and maybe even an afternoon, recap of the day, because what I'm finding is communication is more important than ever. But the second part is we have people working from home, specifically office staff or managers that have never worked from home before. So they're having a hard time sectioning off a work environment, separating their family, and actually getting something done. So I really encourage owners to be thinking about it, not micromanaging your team, but almost setting a purpose for the day and being able to check in with them and making sure that they are staying focused and keeping the company moving forward, because there is a lot of time to be working on procedures, updating things, building things, and really tightening up and getting the company ready for the future business.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Will?
No, love all of that. I second that. It's that kind of collaboration is what's going to be so critical right now. It's going to get everybody behind the best result, I think, too. It's great points, Dan.
Yeah. Will, what do you think, from your perspective and the owners that you've been working with, what can a plumbing, heating, and cooling owner do to protect employees during this time? What are some of the key things?
Protect employees just from the volatility in the marketplace. Like that's kind of what you're thinking about there.
Yeah. I mean, from obviously the pandemic, I think there's some things we could do, but then also maybe some of the fear too that employees might be facing right now. What are some things that business owners could potentially engage with to mitigate that and help their people out?
Yeah, I think to Dan's point, first and foremost, being there for them over communication. I think over communication right now on all fronts. Over communication with employees, over communication with customers, over communication with just the different areas, vendors, or with financing companies and all of that are looped into the business is going to be critical. So everybody knows what's going on. No one's left in the dark. No one's really left in uncertainty. I think giving the option and the flexibility for employees to work from home if that's what they need to do, to not run the job if they're feeling uncertain about it for whatever reason, to really ask the questions of the customers when calls are coming in, really getting to know where have they been, because you're about to send your employee into an environment who's on the front line, who I've heard business owners refer to their technicians right now as the heroes of this whole thing because they're walking right into it. They don't know what they're walking into. So really equipping them prior to them running the job. What are all the prerequisite information that we need to know before I feel comfortable sending my person out to this job? And I think communicating that you're doing that for your technicians is going to give a level of security, a level of trust, a level of a level of real trust and respect. I think lastly would be making sure, and this is probably a guideline, there's probably some like legal repercussions behind this, but making sure that they are actually equipped with the equipment that they need, whether it's the gloves and the masks and all of those. There's so many details to it, and people are really going to have to change their routines. So giving them the education, the flexibility, and equipping them with the tools that they need to really do the job each day. That's going to make them successful.
Dan, any more thoughts on that?
No, I mean, William had a lot of great points. One thing I was thinking, I had an internet provider come to my house yesterday, and I noticed he was wearing one of those buffs, those like scarves that you wear around your neck, and he had it up over his face. So with personal protective equipment being so scarce right now, a lot of companies are running out of masks and different things like that. So getting creative and making sure that the technician is covering their face, I think now more than ever, we need to tighten up our cleanliness and our trucks and our tools and our uniforms. Obviously the work area, the areas that we touch. But ultimately, I think it's, as business owners across the nation, I'm seeing this be 2 weeks ahead of a lot of different states. Like, for instance, California, Denver, obviously New York. There's some states that are really a week to 2 weeks ahead of a lot of the other states that aren't necessarily taking it very serious. And I encourage everybody to take this extremely serious and to make sure that your technicians are taking it serious and they're respecting the homeowner's wishes. And so cleaning the area that they work in twice as much as they would normally do it. Obviously, social distancing is huge. Allowing the customer to have an alternative for signing the iPad or signing their signature on a piece of paper, maybe doing a verbal recording of them approving the work, all the way down to even doing something virtual to where the homeowner doesn't have to be on site and the technicians working through FaceTime or something like that is important. But I really want people to realize that everybody's affected differently by this virus. And some people are carrying this virus and don't even know they have it. And so the chances of our team members coming in contact with it, or the customers in some way is definitely it's a serious threat out there. And so we all have to do our part, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, guys, this has been a lot of really, really good information. Just want to close this down with just last thoughts. What's one thing that business owners and businesses should not stop doing in the middle of the crisis? Dan, we'll kind of go to you first.
Well, I think planning and communicating. We've already talked about that. Marketing. I'll let William jump on marketing here in a minute, but I think marketing is huge. And marketing meaning not only email marketing, but video marketing, social media, all those areas. It really comes down to there's going to be opportunities for companies. I've been encouraging my clients to put their job ads out for all the positions. And it sounds crazy because we're in this place where we can't hire anybody, but there's going to be a lot of people looking for jobs. So we can be doing virtual interviews and kind of putting people in the queue to be hired when this thing shakes out. And it gives us a really good opportunity. But also there's some diversifying opportunities with companies to maybe go a little bit outside the scope that we normally offer to make sure we're capturing, more customers in a time where the business is down, so to say. Yeah. So that's my takeaway on that.
What about you, William?
Yeah, I'll take Dan's little lob there on the marketing. It's so true. There's a famous quote that I think a lot of us know by Henry Ford, but it's a man who stops marketing to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Mm-hmm. And so I just, no matter the time, there's so many studies out there, and I encourage you to read up on it. Read up on what happens during a crisis, what happens during a recession. What do successful businesses do during this time, and really find them, even if they're not necessarily in the trades. Look at the companies, look at what Google's doing. Look at what Amazon is doing. Look at what some of these big successful tech companies and car companies and what they're doing to really innovate and change their processes, but also what are they communicating during this time with their messaging. I think this is a prime opportunity to take advantage of the situation, not really take advantage of the situation, but take advantage of just the environment. At any time, great marketing is relevant and it speaks to the consumer based on what they are looking for right in this moment. And so if your marketing can tend to that and you stay consistent with your messaging, you continue to push top of mind marketing, take advantage of the great sales. Everything's on sale right now. People are coming out of the market. The Facebook and social media channels are at all-time highs. TV networks, they have so much more volume, they can't even monetize all of the volume right now. So it's at a cheaper rate. Same thing with Google pay-per-click. So take advantage of this just as you would if you're investing in the stock market. This is the time to invest and get more for your dollar. Obviously, be conservative, maybe replan, re-strategize what you're doing, and you got a good marketing team to assist and advise and execute on the plans that you're getting in place. But if you got those things in place, and if you don't, this is the perfect time to start, because this is a great time to take advantage.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you both for being on the webinar today. I really appreciate your time, your expertise, and all the information. I know there's a lot of the information that you share is going to be crucial for everybody working in home services right now. So thank you so much.
Cool.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Awesome.
Josh.
You bet.
Thank you.
And for everybody listening, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Dan at Built for the Trades. Dan, where can they find out more about you?
Just at Built for the Trades on Facebook, Instagram, or builtforthetrades.com.
Got it. And William is a director of strategic marketing over at Scorpion. But also, make sure to chat with your PHCC coach and contact anybody at the PHCC organization during this time. They can give you a lot of guidance. And the organizations like PHCC are exactly who we need to lean on during this time to help guide us through the current crisis. So if you have questions, please, please, please reach out. Don't harbor them. Now's the time to take action. Let's make sure that we do it. So thank you guys again. Appreciate everybody's time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.